You were born at St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington, not in some locked-down private wing, but in the same NHS maternity ward where ordinary Londoners have their children. Your father wasn't Prime Minister yet. He was just a lawyer who happened to lead the opposition, which meant your first few years were almost normal. Almost. Then everything changed. Your father wins the general election when you're 4 years old. You don't understand what that means. You just know that suddenly there are strange men and women standing outside your house at all hours. They wear dark suits and talk into their sleeves like characters from a spy film. One of them introduces herself to you. Her name is Sarah, and she'll be around a lot from now on. You think she's your new nanny. She's not. She's your close protection officer. The move happens quickly. 1 week you're in your normal house in North London. The next you're being driven through the gates of Downing Street. Number 10 looks smaller than it does on television. The front door is famous, sure, but inside it's a maze of narrow corridors and creaky staircases. Your bedroom is on the 3rd floor. It has a view of the garden, which sounds lovely until you realize you can't just go outside and play whenever you want. Everything requires planning now. You start at a new school. Your parents chose a state primary in Westminster, partly because they believe in state education, partly for the optics. Either way, you're the only child who arrives with a security detail. The other parents stare. Some of them smile too much, overly friendly in that way adults get when they want something. Others keep their distance. I like you're contagious. The children don't know what to make of you. During your first week, a boy asks if your dad is rich. You say you don't know. He says your dad must be rich because he lives in a massive house. You try to explain that you don't actually own it, that it belongs to the country, but he's already decided you're posh and walks away. At 6 years old, you learn what a hostile press looks like. Your mother takes you to buy school shoes. Just shoes. Normal Saturday morning errand. By Monday, there's a photograph of you both in 3 different newspapers. One article analyzes what brand of shoes your mother bought and what that says about the government's economic policy. You were just getting shoes. Now it's a political statement. Your father starts appearing less and less. Breakfast becomes a rarity. A dinner is theoretical. When you do see him, he's distracted, his mind clearly elsewhere. Sometimes his phone rings during the rare family meals and he takes it every single time. You stop expecting him to show up to school events. He promises he'll be at your Year 2 assembly. He misses it. Prime Minister's questions ran long. You tell yourself you don't care, but you scan the audience anyway, just in case. The protection officers become the most consistent adults in your life. Sarah is there every morning. Marcus drives you to school. They know your routine better than your parents do. You overhear Marcus once talking into his radio. He refers to you by a code name, Redwood. You ask him why Redwood. He says it's just protocol, nothing personal. But it feels personal. It feels like you're not a person anymore. Just a logistical problem that needs solving. Your 9th birthday party requires a security assessment. Your mother wants to take you and 5 friends to the cinema. It takes 3 weeks of planning. The security team needs to know which friends, which cinema, which screening time, where everyone will sit. One of your friend's parents decides it's too much hassle and declines. You end up with 4 friends instead of 5. The empty seat stays empty. At the cinema, there are 2 officers in the row behind you and 1 at each exit. Your friends think it's cool at first. Then one of them whispers that it's actually kind of weird. You agree, but you can't say that out loud. School projects become minefields. Your class is assigned to interview a family member about their job. And every other child picks their mom or dad and asks basic questions. You can't do that. Anything your father says could become a headline. Your teacher suggests you interview your grandmother instead. You do. She talks about being a nurse. It's a good interview, but you can't shake the feeling that you failed some invisible test. Then comes the day that changes how you see everything. You're 10 years old, walking through the corridor at number 10, heading to the kitchen for a snack. You pass your father's study. The door is slightly open, and you hear something that stops you cold. Your father is crying. Not sobbing, not dramatic, just quiet, exhausted crying. You've never heard him cry before. You freeze. You don't know what to do with this information. He's the Prime Minister. He doesn't cry. That's what you thought anyway. You walk away quickly before anyone notices you were there. That night at dinner, he's perfectly composed. Tie straight, voice steady, discussing policy reforms like nothing happened. You watch him carefully and realize something that will stay with you forever. He's performing. Not just for the cameras or the public, for you, for your mother, for everyone. You never mention what you heard, but it changes things. Suddenly you notice the weight he carries in his posture, the exhaustion he hides behind polished speeches. You see the way his hands shake slightly when he thinks no one's looking. The job isn't just demanding, it's devouring him. And one day it'll be over, and you wonder what will be left. Secondary school is worse than primary. The other students have fully formed opinions now, and those opinions are loud. And some kids idolize you because of your last name. Others despise you for the exact same reason. A boy in your year tells you his dad lost his job because of a policy your father passed. He blames you personally. You try to explain that you don't control government policy. He shoves you anyway. The protection officers step in immediately. The boy gets suspended. You feel sick about it for weeks. Dating is impossible. You develop a crush on someone in your class. You're too afraid to say anything because you know what will happen. If you ask them out and they say yes, you'll never know if they actually like you or just the idea of you. If they say no, it'll be because of who your father is, and that will somehow feel worse. You stay silent. The crush fades. You tell yourself it's easier this way. At 15, your father loses the election. You're not prepared for the relief you feel. It makes you feel guilty immediately. He's devastated. Your mother is exhausted. The party is in chaos. And you're quietly, secretly glad. Maybe now things can be normal. They can't. Your father is no longer prime minister, but the last name doesn't disappear. Journalists still follow you. People still recognize you in public. You're still redwood to the protection team, even though the threat level has dropped. You realize the position ends, but the identity doesn't. Your father struggles with the transition. He's used to mattering in a specific, measurable way. Now he gives occasional speeches, writes opinion columns, appears on panels. It's important work, but it's not the same. You watch him try to fill the space left behind and fail repeatedly. Or one evening he asks you about school. Really asks. Like he's trying to remember how to be a father instead of a prime minister. You talk for an hour. It's awkward and stilted, but it's something. You're 17 when you apply to university. You choose one far from London, far from Westminster, far from everything. You don't tell anyone your real reason. You just want to be someone else for a while. The first week, someone in your hall recognizes you. Within days, everyone knows. You're not anonymous. You never will be. But something shifts anyway. You're not defined solely by your father anymore. You're becoming your own person, slowly, painfully, in fragments. You choose a degree in something your father knows nothing about. Environmental science. It's yours. You make a friend who doesn't care about politics. She asks you about climate models, not policy scandals. It's the first real friendship you've had in years. You go home for Christmas. Your father looks smaller somehow, older. The house is quieter without the constant phone calls and briefings. He asks what you're studying. You tell him about carbon cycles and ecosystem resilience. He listens, genuinely listens, and says he's proud of you. It's the first time you believe him. You're building a life that isn't his. It's fragile and incomplete, but it's yours. And maybe that's enough. You are the Prime Minister's child. You grew up in a house that didn't belong to you, with protection officers who knew your schedule better than your parents did, with a code name that turned you into a tactical asset before you learned long division. At 10, you heard your father cry and realized the job was eating him alive. At 15, you felt relief when he lost, then guilt for feeling it. At 17, You ran as far as you could and discovered you'd never outrun the name. You're building something now, a degree he doesn't understand, a friendship that isn't about him, a version of yourself that exists independently. It's not freedom, not completely. Someone will always recognize you. The name will always precede you into every room. But you're learning to carry it differently, like weight you've finally figured out how to distribute. Your father is smaller now, quieter, learning how to be a person again instead of a position. You're learning the opposite, how to be a person despite the position you were born into. Maybe one day you'll forgive him for the childhood you didn't get to have. Maybe you already have. Maybe forgiveness isn't the point. The point is this: you survived something most people can't imagine. You grew up inside a pressure system designed for adults and came out capable of caring about carbon cycles and real friendship and building a life on your own terms. That's not nothing. You're 20 now, and for the first time when someone asks who you are, you have an answer that isn't just his name.